Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Sunseeker 3050. We are just going to start off with the back of the unit. We'll go straight down to the bottom here. You got your propane quick connect line. So if you have a little portable grill or something you wanted that ran off propane, you do hard plumb a line from here that goes to your tank. You can get the quick connect line accessories from here, Transcona, or if you already have it, you just connect into there like so, opening up the valve, opens up the flow of propane. Pretty simple. You do got your 2-inch receiver out here in the back. Just keeping in mind the payload capacity, you're at about 7,500 pounds, the 750-pound receiver weight. Got a 7-pin plug wired back here. Then coming around to the driver's side of the unit, you do got your 30-amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of that notch there. Lines up with this notch on this side. Pressing that firmly into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do with your standard 30-amp plug end. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in, but if you have the unit at home on your driveway or your campsite only in 15-amp service, we do include that 15-amp park adapter. Just keep in mind, if you're going down to 15 amps power, you won't be able to run any air conditioners. You will just be able to run your fridge, your lights, stuff like that. Whenever you are plugged in, you get a green light on the top telling you have a successful power source. If that green light were to be off or red, it is telling you your source of power is bad. You got this storage compartment out back here. Go straight through to the other side. That's where you're going to find your standard starter kit. It comes included. You got a 15-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, and a 15-amp park adapter. Some other miscellaneous goodies. A little further ahead, you get your little sewer area, popping that guy open. Got your black tank flush whenever you're using that. Very important you read the caution sticker. Notice it's going to say whenever you're using it, always making sure you have your sewer hose connected and your black tank valve open. Reason being, if you're pushing pressure into the tank and the pressure's got nowhere to go, you could expand the tank to the point of cracking, so always be mindful of that. You got your city water connection. If you're at a site with service, thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. And that's what pressurizes all those water lines. Exterior shower, swivel shower head, hot and cold water, gray valve and a black valve. You always want to empty your black valve first. This is going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. Then you come behind that with your gray valve, typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Pulling this guy off, your sewer hose is going to have the same ears. They just line up with the notches, slide into place. And then if you're camping somewhere for a while, you can always undo this plug. And you could run your sewer hose right down through here, or run it straight out of the compartment, whatever you prefer. You're going to notice a light here, as well as a light up top. That is the security light that's inside. I'll talk about that once we get there. Got your gas fill for the chassis. Coming a bit further ahead, storage all throughout here. Opening up this guy, popping that guy open. That is where you get access to that garbage disposal. A little flap up top. Nice little feature they threw in there. Coming to this last compartment, opening this guy. That's where you're gonna find your generator, service port, popping these guys open, you can pull that out. That's where you're gonna get access to checking your oil. You also have an emergency override, manual override in case all the batteries were completely dead and you had no way to start it. You could start it manually if you had to. You got another start-stop switch here. I am gonna show you how to turn it on inside, but there is another method here in case that one weren't to work for whatever reason. Air filter, of course. Oil drain is going to be underneath. Popping that guy back in and locking it back into place. Up front, your standard Ford chassis. Then coming around the passenger side of the unit, popping this open. That's where your exterior TV hides. On top of that, it is also a sound system, so keep that in mind too. You can hook up to FM and AM and all that good stuff. Opening up this guy, that's where you're going to fill your propane. Fill and deal with all your propane. The valve here, counterclockwise, nice and slowly, opens up the flow of propane to the unit. And then whenever you were getting it filled, you do have to have a certified pump attendant to do it, but always just making sure this valve's off, the vehicle's in park, and of course the ignition is off. You got a level right here. You also have another one inside on the monitor panel. Again, storage, some more storage underneath here. Popping this guy open. This is the service port for your hot water heater. I'm gonna go over a reset procedure inside. The button I'm gonna refer to is just right here. Whenever you get to your campsite, before you ever fire up your water heater, just pull in that pressure relief valve. You should get a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know the tank's full and ready to fire up. If you don't see a shot of water coming out of there, chances are the tank's empty, and you do run the risk of burning out your tank. I do have the unit summarized, but I drain the water heater just because we don't know when you're going to use it next. We don't want the water going stale or stagnant. Furnace exhaust, whenever that's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Last storage compartment, so just the other last storage compartment, the other side of it. Got your fresh water fill, so if you're out boondocking or you're traveling, you want to carry a little bit of water with you, that's how you're going to fill up your fresh tank. Popping open this compartment, you're going to see another compartment back door here. Open up this guy, pop that guy down. You're going to see this vent tube that does come down here. Now that is for the heat pump, so you're also pumping with the underbelly and the water pump area with some heat whenever you're running that. So if you're doing that extended camping season thing, be a good thing to do. You're going to notice these blue valves here. They are the blue one is for the low point drain as well as the fresh tank drain. Just pop in that guy, that's how you drain that. And then the red is just for your hot line for the low point drain. Then you got this valve here. It's your bypass valve for your winterization option. Turning that over to this side, you'd be then drawing off this hose. You could stick this hose into your jug of antifreeze. You'd be on your way. Now for the best part, we are just going to take a step on inside. Opening up this door here. First thing you'll notice off on the right is that fire extinguisher, pretty much just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Popping this off here. That's where you get access to your 2 house batteries. On the wall here, a bunch of different accessories. Turning these guys on turns on the porch light as well as that awning LED strip light. Got your solar controller here on the wall whenever you're using that. There's a bunch of different options you can get into. It goes super in depth. There's some settings you can play with. I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual for it, but we do have it currently set up for your basic charging needs. If there's sun outside, it's going to be applying a charge to the battery. Awning control, the ignition for the unit does have to be off for the awning to work, just as an added safety measure. Hit that extend button, the awning's going to start rolling its way out. Once the awning's hit its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Sometimes the flap can get stuck though, so just keep in mind that does happen. Don't panic, just retract the awning a little bit and pull it back out. And it should come down. Keep an eye on wind speeds whenever you do have this out. It acts as a wind sail. We don't want you ripping your fabric, bending your arms, or causing any more damage. You see the back of the metal tube and the flap is now down. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pulling down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade underneath, you do the same thing with the front arm. Just making sure you do push these arms back straight before you bring the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. Bringing the awning in is as simple as holding that retract button. The awning's going to start rolling in. Keep in mind if you're rolling this in during a storm because it's raining, windy, whatever, if the awning's wet when you're rolling it in, always try and roll it back out at your next earliest convenience to stop the growth of mold or mildew. Want to make sure it's nice and dry. Now next we are just going to go over the leveling and the slide out features. The key has to be on the accessory mode in the ignition, and the parking brake does have to be set. I already have the parking brake set. So for the leveling system, you come around the door here. Pretty standard, pretty simple. Can't really mess it up. You got that auto level option. Hitting that, you're going to automatically completely level the unit. Jacks are going to put themselves down as so. I always recommend auto leveling a unit once you already have your slide out. That way it's going to counterbalance the weight that's going through to that side. And then to retract, you just hit retract jacks. It's going to automatically retract all the jacks. Home button brings you to this screen, the little sidebar here, dropping that. You can go into a manual mode so you can manually adjust the jacks. Sometimes the ground may be just so bad that your front tires are coming off the ground. You don't want that. You can connect an app through your phone Sometimes you got to recalibrate them. You shouldn't really have to worry about that. And then of course you do have some jack lights you can turn on. Again, home button to just go back. Battery disconnect switch. With it in the on position, the batteries are connected to the unit. Turn it to the off position, the batteries do become disconnected from the unit, and as an added measure, it also disables the rest of the 12-volt system for this unit. So if you ever come to your unit, you open it up, you're trying to turn your lights on, they won't come on. Always check here first, making sure your batteries are connected. Taking a step up now. Light switch here, turning that on. Turns on all the main living space lights. They are on a dimmer, so you can go bright to dim. They're also, start stop switch for generator. We'll go over that after. Slide out switch, pushing and holding that out button. Slide out's going to start making its way out. Once it's at its full extension, you're going to hear the whines and the clicks of the motor. Always being mindful whenever you're running a slide out, making sure you know what's on either side, inside and out. The reason I say inside, things do tend to shift during travel. Just being visual, making sure you're not causing any damage, and of course on the outside, making sure you have enough room to put the slide out. And there you go, you are now at your full extension. Security light, that's that light I told you by the dumping station. Fire up your water heater on either gas or electric. If you do fire it up on gas, turn that switch on. The fault light's going to come on. The water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the third try it doesn't light, this light will stay on. In that case, turn this switch off. Go hit the reset button I showed you earlier, and then come try turning it back on. Monitor panel system, pretty standard. You hit the button. It's going to tell you the corresponding level. Goes for the whole thing. Water pump draws out of your fresh tank. You do have an Arctic pack system. It's for extended camping seasons. It's essentially a heating pad attached onto the bottom of the tanks to try and keep things warm. Now, unfortunately, our Manitoba winters get much too cold for this to be adequate. Realistically, if you're camping below -0, you are running the risk of things freezing, so just keep that in mind if you are doing that. Start stop switch for the generator. To get the generator to run, you do have to hit the stop/prime button. Hold it for about 10 seconds. Of course, waiting for your red generator light to come on because I accidentally pushed it a little premature there. So hold it for about 10 seconds. Stop. Again, let that let the light kill itself. Hit the start switch, and it does fire right on up. Now, you're not going to have instantaneous power. There's a switch, a transition switch that has to switch. So the generator's got to run for like 1 to 3 minutes, and then you hear the probably microwave turn on first, and then you have full power inside of here. You have a power control system installed on this unit as well. Again, I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual for that because it gets pretty in-depth. Same with the AGS system for the generator. There's a bunch of different settings you can look into for that. So if batteries drop below a certain voltage, things automatically start and stop. Awesome little feature. Hitting that turns them into little coat racks. I thought that was cool. They magnet up. And now you got your first thermostat for your first air conditioner. Now this is just air conditioning and your furnace. There's no heat pump installed on this one. So hitting that button once, you get to your fan. You can hear the fan kick in. You can turn that between high and low with the press of a button. Pressing that one more time, you're gonna get to cool. Now at any point in time, you can change your set temperature by going up or down. Whenever you're in cool or heat, whenever you're in cool, you can hit your fan options and you can turn it into an auto fan, so then it turns into an on-demand system. So depending on what you have the room set to and what it senses the room is, it'll kick the air conditioner on and off as needed. If you have it on just fan on, the fan is going to run continuously regardless. Push the button one more time, you get to heat pump, which isn't hooked up to this one. And then one more time, we'll get you into your furnace. Now that's going to kill the air conditioner, fire up the furnace. The furnace does have 1 fan speed, and the furnace does run off propane. One more time, we'll psych you back over to off. Whenever you do fire up the furnace does run for an additional 3 minutes to allow itself time to cool down. We'll go straight up front here. Standard Ford chassis up front. Just going to kill that key, that way we don't kill your battery. Up top, you got your little bunk area. Slide these TV remotes over here. Take this, plop this into place. This is just, it moves out of the way so you can have some extra headroom while you're sitting there driving. You got a ladder over here which hooks into these feet. So you have a ladder to get up. Booster seat, you You do have 2 booster seats for the front in case you're a little shorter, you can't see over. Nice little feature. And then if you take the little headboard area kind of thing, slide that over. You're gonna notice you got USB charging ports on either side. Curtain to slide right through. Of course, traveling, slide this back up. That way you're not feeling a little claustrophobic. Sliding this down, all the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit, relieve them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. Storage all throughout. There's tons of storage in here. Whenever you're using the storage, always being mindful of drains, water lines, things like that. Wiring, you don't want to be affecting any of that. You're going to see some seat belts throughout the unit. You are limited to the number of passengers in Manitoba due to the number of seat belts. I believe there is 2 up front. You got 2 here, and then you got 2 more in the dinette. So that's going to be 6 total, 6 people. This folds out into a bed in case you had some extra guests. Just have to pull up on the foot of the couch. Couch will fold out. You have yourself another bed. All your manuals, all sorts of things like that. We also include some checklists in that binder here. You got a nice little TV remote holder on this side. Then you got your dinette area. Now this does also turn into another bed. You just gotta pick up the table, pick up at the end, pull towards you. It's gonna start folding its way down. You'd have to move these cushions out of the way for it to properly sit inside its ledges. Then you can just take your back cushions to fill in the center. And to get it back up, you're just picking that guy up, hooking it to its corresponding ledge there, locks it into place. It's not going anywhere. You have seating space again. A little counter extender. Pulling up on it, it's magnetized to here, so whenever you're traveling, it's not rattling, causing damage. What I mentioned, you got these snaps down here to lock it into place. Don't have your fingers in there because you just heard it snaps up pretty good. If you had your fingers in there, you might give yourself a little tickle. Right down below, because you're equipped with propane, you got your LP detector. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane down underneath the unit there. Open up some windows and vents just to get some fresh oxygen inside. Also being mindful, it is very sensitive to cleaning chemicals, so if you were to be cleaning around it, starts going off, use your best judgment. But it could be the chemical setting it off. You have that all the time. You got your Freon fridge here. The right side opens first, and then you can open up your left side, and then just the corresponding opposite. The left side closes first, and then the right side. Crisper airflow control. Up top, you got all your different controls. Power button holding it for 3 seconds. Fridge, freezer. You can choose between your fridge or your freezer, plus or minus the temperature, whatever you feel you want. Opening up this little freezer down below. You got your main fuse breaker panel here, pushing this guy, popping that guy open. Whenever breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses are on the right. You're going to notice this panel here, you got a screw in each corner. Pulling that guy off, that does give you access to the back of your water heater for those bypass valves for winterization. Opening up this guy. They include a little spice rack thing. Kitchen area, pretty standard. Like I said, tons of accent lighting on its own center push buttons. You got more down on your dinette as well as your couch, just underneath the cabinets. Cabinet space, stove. So we're gonna go over some propane notes. I already went over the LP detector. Whenever you've had your propane system off for a while, sometimes it can allow air into the system. Once air makes its way into the system, it does have to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do it. It's just whenever you get to your campsite, if you notice the propane's off, you fire it up. Just come and fire up the stove quickly. To fire the stove up, push the button. That supplies 12-volt power to the igniters, because if you had this off and you open this up, you're not going to hear the clicking. And if you already had the system purged, that can allow a buildup of gas. And once you did turn on the igniters, if there's a buildup of gas there, you could lose some eyebrows and eyelashes, and we're going to try and avoid that. So always turning that knob on, you're going to hear the clicking. Did fire right on up today just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes. Just being patient with it and always making sure you're hearing the igniter go off when you're trying to light it. That way there isn't that buildup of gas. So the reason I told you that you had to purge the system is because if you want to fire up your water heater or anything else, including your furnace, on propane, those things only try lighting themselves a few times, and if they don't light after those few times, they're going to throw a fault code at you, which could throw a little wrench into your trip if you don't know what they mean. So just try and avoid that. It's always a good measure to fire that up quickly. Convection oven right down below, pretty standard, just like home. Did forget to mention up in the bunk space there's another TV, and that is also, again, the sound system for the inside as well. Bluetooth and all that stuff. You got your sliding door here because you may think you want some privacy when you're coming in and out of the shower. Pulling down on this latch, that goes for all the latches throughout the unit. You're always going to want to make sure your travel latches are latched. That way they're not causing any damage when you're moving. You can close that off. And then to get it open, you're just pulling on it again. Locking it into place if you're traveling. If not, you can leave it wherever you like. Then you get to your bathroom space, light switch on the wall. You're gonna notice above my head you got a skylight. Maybe that's too much light while you're sleeping. They do have a little shade on it. Thought that was neat. You got your sink, hot and cold water. Of course, always just being mindful of drains and water lines whenever you're using the storage below. You got your toilet paper holder, so we leave that out just so you can decide where to put it. You got your GFI plug on the wall here. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, most of the plugs in this unit are hooked up through GFI. So you make sure this isn't tripped, reset in the middle, test down at the bottom. Again, just making sure it's not tripped. Opening up this door, that's your toilet, shower, pretty standard, hot and cold water. You do have a little vent lid above your head here. You can lift that guy open. Now your fantastic vent that's in the main living space already has a fantastic vent over top of it. This one, however, doesn't. And you're going to notice if you were to leave it open during travel, you do run the risk of damaging it. And if it were to start raining, it's going to get wet inside here. We do sell covers here at the shop that go over top of this vent. It's going to allow you to leave it open while traveling and turn it on. Or if it's raining, you can open it up and turn it on. It's not going to get wet inside here. If you'd like to get set up with that, just contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out, provide a quote for you. Some more hangers here for towels. That's the switch to turn on the fan. Other than that, pretty standard bathroom. Now into the bedroom space. Again, tons of storage all around. Even more storage if you're opening up this TV spot. You can open it up. Opens up to the back here. You can put a DVD player, or just clothes if you have lots of clothes. Make sure you snap it in place before you leave. You got your bed. Now on the wall, you got your thermostat. Now this is for the rear air conditioner as well as the heat pump. Pushing the button once. Again, just getting into fan. Push it again. You go over your air conditioning, your heat pump. It works the same way as the one at the front. Whenever you use the heat pump as an addition, like you saw in the water pump area, it does pump heat into the underbelly space. Try and keep things a little bit warmer. Back over to off. Turns that off. Now you're probably wondering what the difference between a heat pump and a furnace is. The furnace is its own unit, pumps heat using propane, heats up. It's probably more efficient than a heat pump. A heat pump just reverses the action of the air conditioner. So whenever you're using an air conditioner, it takes out the hot air, blows in the cold air. Heat pump reverses that action. So it's going to be blowing out cold air, blowing in hot air. If you're in a cold environment, the heat pump's probably not going to work all that well because your air conditioner is not going to be working that well. So that's why the furnace is there when you need it. Again, you got your back fire exit. Just undoing these two latches here. Push on the window. Pops on out. You can climb on out of the unit, and then to get it back in, just doing the opposite and snapping these back into place. All the blinds, they're working the same way. That's your second little booster seat here. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.